we have authors from we had many authors from many churches. Now it's the group is a little bit smaller because we don't work. We serve because we don't have. We don't work for money. We are on a voluntary basis completely since 12 years. And in our group, there are Christians from different traditions: Orthodox, Pentecostal, Lutheran, Roman Catholic. And but it's only one part of my activity. In the second part, well, I'm not a representative of the Lutheran Church, but I'm working also for the Lutheran Church in this topic, 500 Years of Reformation. And our Lutheran Church in Poland, although it's small, it has about 80,000 members. It has many internet activities, especially the main site luteranie.pl, which gives many information on the church life. But also there are different websites which give some insight into the life of the church. For example, Luther 2017, and it's designed for this Jubilee. We don't know yet what will happen after the Jubilee, but there are some plans, some ideas. Of course, there are other websites like the information office of the church, where only, well, perhaps not spiritual information are published, but especially those which deal with some administration things of the church. And there are 6 dioceses in our church, and not all, but I think all have internet website, more or less active. And so if I would say if our internet presence is active, I would say yes. If you see the possibilities, the number of the church, we are also present on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. So I would say our activity, our presence is seen, and also the many representatives of the church are invited by other internet websites and other editors. So I would say it's okay, but it can be better.
Thank you. My name is Aleksander Wasyluk. I start working in the church as, not to start working, but the first activity was doing youth work in the Fellowship of Orthodox Youth in Poland. I was president. Then when I grew up a little bit, with some of my friends, we started website cerkiew.pl, which was the main, biggest, but unofficial website about Orthodox Church in Poland. It was started in 2010, and after 2 years, 2 years later, I started with some other friends who loves photography, site about photography. This site is international, started in Poland, but in fact we have international team. We have now about 80,000 pictures from all over the world, from more over than 80 countries. And we have like 5,000 photographers who upload their photos. It's kind of a photo community. Then I start working in World Council of Churches Eastern Europe office, and I moved for 2 years to Geneva to work in public information team, and I have a chance to participate in one conference in 2006 or 2005 in Romania. So it's my second attempt. So I'm happy to be here. I'm not sure if there is someone except Ralph who was Peter who was there. I don't know. There was someone else?
But welcome back.
Thank you very much. So that's it about me. About situation in internet situation in the Orthodox Church in Poland. You should know that we are quite small minority. It's about 200,000 people. So our possibilities are not so big, and that's why probably we start everything on a voluntary basis. And we grew up quite fast. For the time being, for example, cerkiew.pl have around 4,000 visitors per day. It's not only Orthodox people, it's also people who are interested in Orthodoxy. We are an unofficial website, mostly managed by young people. That's why 1 month ago I resigned from being editor-in-chief because I think it's time for new people. the small problem which we have now with young people, it's that we have good people who likes to help, but not too many leaders, and we are still looking for replacement. But coming back to this website, it is still very well organized. We have a lot of content. We have a multimedia team who is doing videos, programs, and trying to help also radio stations and trying to be more innovative. We have responsive design developed on our website, and probably not too many other websites in Orthodox Church has this. In my opinion, we are even going a little bit down than up because of, I don't know, time, and maybe because people who are involved in industry, let's say programists, graphic designers, are very occupied by their work, and my friends who normally helped me before in development, they say they really want to do, but when they're going back from home, from work, they don't want to watch at the screen and still doing the same things. So although we have 6 dioceses and all the dioceses have websites, most of the parishes have also websites. We have some bloggers, priests, not priests, who are speaking about church life, and also we are quite active in some Facebook groups and other social networks. So that's it.
My name is Paweł. I'm from the north of Poland right now, from the Catholic Church. I'm a Jesuit, so a priest also. I'm in the internet for a pretty long time right now. Well, right now I'm doing not as much as I used to do a few years ago. I was working a lot, now really much less, in the Modlitwa w drodze, which I will speak about in the afternoon today. Also doing live streams on our Facebook page, Dion.pl, which is the biggest, I think, Christian website in Poland, run by Jesuits, my religious order. The web page is visited monthly by 1 million people. So we have 1 million entries, unique entries and visitors. So it is the biggest web page portal in Poland, and it has big Facebook page, and on that Facebook we are doing live streams. I will speak about it also in the afternoon. But when it comes to Poland and church and internet, I would say that it is a really difficult question how to answer, because what do we understand with the word internet? Do we understand web page? Yes, but it's really old. The web page is the question about web page is a question of the beginning of the new millennium. We are the second. After 17 years after. So I would say that when it comes to church and Poland, we are divided, I would say, in 2 parts. One part is usually for something, or pro. We are for something to bring something good, but then there is another part which is against, protests, underground. And the frontier is usually the age. I count myself as an old person right now when it comes to the internet, and I'm in the first part. And also that part loves to communicate in the old way, so the web 1.0. So we write the text, we publish the text, and that's it. No social medias, no interaction, and so on. The second part, which is usually against something and protests, they are very young, usually in the high school, sometimes even younger, and they are a lot, usually on Facebook, on social medias, criticizing everybody, and everyone. A lot of hatred there also. And I think that usually also criticizing Pope a lot, the current Pope, because he's Jesuit, so they criticize him a lot. They don't like Jesuits. So I think we're divided into two parts. The problem is that there is no bridge one to another. So usually because the old people, the old, let's call us the old, we do not understand the young people, and we do not have any resources to bring them something good. Resources would mean, for example, invest 5 people full time to be only on Facebook, running Facebook groups and discussing with people. Because when I say underground young people, I would say the group on Facebook, which is the group about 50,000 people, when there is constant discussion. Constant discussion about issues, about politics, about religion, about Pope and teaching and so on. So that is very, very, there is a lot of life there. Yes, and but usually sometimes they cross the line because of the hatred and so on.
Maybe I can follow up with another question. It was really interesting to hear what your churches are doing, but regarding communication strategy, there's a slogan online first. One might say social media first. How does the internet or social media relate to the other mediums of communication like radio, television, or printed church newspapers? This is one question, but also this relates to it. You're talking about what the official church is doing and what volunteers are doing at the grassroots levels. Is there a discrepancy, and how do you deal with that? Maybe you can just if you have to say something, so we don't have to do ABC and maybe we can just interact naturally. If you have questions, please do ask us.
So if I understand you well, you are asking about the connection between the strategy of the churches.
Yes, what is the main focus of the church's communication strategy? Is it online?
If I may respond to some of the things you said. You said you are a minority church, and you said 200,000. Yes. So as you can see, it's the perspective is very, very different. Yes. I told you that I'm working for the ecumenical website, ecumenics.pl, and those numbers are very, very important because you have the biggest non-Roman Catholic church in Poland, which is the Orthodox Church, has 200,000 people, and then you have Lutheran Church, 80,000, and then you have smaller churches. You have, for example, Reformed Church, 1,500. So the numbers are very relative, and it's very important as for the internet presence of the Christianity and the churches in the internet. And when our Jesuit brother says, the church, of course, it's always the problem of minority churches in the internet, that when you hear the word church, everybody thinks about the Roman Catholic churches. And the other churches, Orthodox, Lutheran, Old Catholic, Anglican, or other traditions are not there, are not in people's minds, because many people in Poland, and it is one of the most important functions of the church of presence of minority churches internet is the education, and so the perspective is very important. And why I'm talking about this, because I would say the majority of Polish churches do not have any strategy. And sometimes it's not weird because they are so small that they are fighting with problems, with everyday problems, which have nothing to do with the internet, but with everyday life. And it's a very complex topic, because for some churches, internet is not a question, because they find internet not as a chance, not as a way of reaching out to people, but as some kind of dangerous thing, which brings some kind of Unruhe, disturbances into the life of the church. Yes, so many don't bother to have an internet strategy, and of course, also a communication strategy. But of course, there are some people who try to do something, but then they are seen, sorry for the German word, Unruhestifter. Troublemakers, yes. Yes, I would say, for example, the Lutheran Church, we are trying to do our best, and we are present, as I said, in the internet, and there are some discussions on the Facebook. There is official website of the church on Facebook, but there is also unofficial group Lutherans in Poland, and there are many discussions, sometimes very controversial, and some of them are showing that our church, although very small, there is a wide range of opinions, and sometimes they are not worth quoting. Yes, but I would say. In general, in Poland, we have problems about discussions, not only in the politics, but also in the church. In the internet church, you have on the one side official communication, like the bishop said that, the bishop said that. Yes, it's not only in Catholic medias or Orthodox medias. Yes, and you have the other unofficial side where you can comment on different things from different perspectives, and you don't have to bother about the church diplomatics. And I'm very proud of it. I'm speaking a little bit pro domo, yes, but that on our website we have many comments about many churches, undiplomatic, but it doesn't have to mean that we spread hatred. But we don't have to bother about any bishop, any priest, and we write what we want to write. Yes, and sometimes we are very criticized, and when I get some comments, I say, if we are criticized by some Protestant ministers, by Orthodox priests, by Roman Catholic commentators, and so on, it's very good. So it's the ecumenism of criticism which we need and which we very cherish. Yes, and if we would be very, cherished by one side, said yes, you are very, very good, then it would be troubling for me. Yes? So we try to be criticized by everyone. Then we know that we are really read. We have about from 4 to 7,000 visitors every day, and
Thank you so much. Maybe we get a response from majority churches.
Response to
what Darius was saying, and also to the question.
Yeah. I don't know how to discuss. I don't know how to react. I mean, firstly, what you said, Peter, the problem that we as Polish Jesuits suffer a lot is a lack of resources, and I think that that's a common, something that unites us also. But even though
I would like to suffer as you, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you see the church as big, how big is it? It is really what we do is so little. It's too little. Seeing you guys and what you do and with your communities and how successful you are, when it comes to comparing the numbers, I think you're great. I mean, when it comes to Catholic Church, we are doing very little and too little in the internet. The problem is of our resources simply, yeah, because hiring one person, 5 persons, 10 persons, for some dioceses is quite impossible. If they have one priest that is responsible for communication, it's good. Yeah, sometimes they do not have anybody. Why? I think that the problem is the border of the age. Yes, so usually the people that decide are usually the old. They own money, and it's much better to spend money to build the church or to renovate the church than spend it on communication. Why? Because you cannot gather people in the communication, gather people in church. So they would like more to spend money on something that you can touch than on the communication, which is for today, for maybe 5 days, but not anymore. Yeah, and I think I perceive it in this way. So we are missing a lot. The communication, we are missing a lot. Volunteers, for example, I was collaborating for a short brief of time with the communication of World Youth Days, which was this summer in Poland. Really, which such a huge event, enormous event, the Pope in Poland, and the young, and so on, so on. Really, we suffered so much with trying to collaborate with the office there that you cannot imagine how we suffered. I mean, because when you ask a question about the church, really for us, well, for Catholics, I think, it's too general, because we have also several groups. What I said about the division in two is really, I think, if we are divided in 10 groups, that would be a very little number, because you have the Jesuit communication, the Dominican communication, the traditionalist communication, maybe the official communication of the episcopate, of the conference, bishop conference, and then every communication is completely different, and also with different aims and different people and different ideas. So really, it's very difficult to answer the question, what is the church communication, what is the church politics, because I think that there is no general communication. I think there are ideas for the groups. So there is idea of Jesuit communication. The Dominicans are doing very well, very well. And there's a big, I would say, I count it as a third group, the traditionalists, but it's not an official group. That's usually a group of young people that are against and protest and so on, so on. That are for Latin Mass and say that all the ecumenism is, the worst that happened in the church. So that is a kind of group also present and very strong in the internet. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I will say it this way.
So I can say that we don't have a big problem with the word church, because in Poland we use two words, and if you want to be more clear about whom we are speaking, we use word cerkiew. That's why. Yep. This is not our problem. It's just kind of joke. But in fact, our church doesn't have also strategy about internet. But what I can say from the point of view, person who was doing the website, unofficial, let's say, website, and doing thing for small community, we should be exclusive. We should include also bishops and also clergy, and be open and understand their reality. Much of the bishops are quite old age, and they don't use internet this way how we are using. So we should also explain how it works. And it was also a good case in with Cerkiew.pl site, who was presented for Metropolitan only by printed version until he doesn't start using internet. And when it was from the second hand information, we were totally not understand by Metropolitan. When we start meeting with him, explaining our problems, what we are doing, the situation is totally different. So what I can say, we should be open for all our audience. This is very important in my opinion. And you ask us about connection between other media, printed, radio, television. In our case, we are a very small community, and in my opinion, and trying to do also this with other media, that we try to work together. So in case if we have good material, for example, last week, Archbishop Jeremiah, who was very active in ecumenism movement, died. Our team was there doing video, but we record also audio. So what I do next, I called the radio station for Orthodox people, and I said, we have material. So we are sharing this material. And this is the way, it's a little bit different audience, so we don't fight for the audience. We can share this. We can share with the printed newspaper, because it's for older people. We print very quickly short video on the website. We do a photo story on the website, but we also give the photos for the printed newspaper, because they will use it and it will go to the more people. And last thing about comments and the people who are active. We also have problem with the Cerkiew.pl site with with the commentaries. One day we decided to stop possibility to comment but it wasn't the problem with the people who were commenting, but more with our ability to moderate it in good way. So I'm coming back for the question: people who are responsible and leaders who are able to deliver good quality materials and take care about the website.
Darius wants to comment on that, but if you have questions, please address.
I would like to add something very shortly. I guess for some of you it may sound weird, especially for those of you who come from countries in which there is, let's say, ecumenical or post-confessional atmosphere. As you could hear, in Poland, we are fighting in our own church families to get through the wall of the internet, yes? So there is a very hard to find inner Orthodox cooperation on the internet, inner Catholic cooperation on the internet, or also inner Lutheran cooperation on the internet, not to mention the ecumenical cooperation. There is no ecumenical cooperation on the internet, with some exceptions. I said my site is not an official website, ecumenical website, although the oldest and the most known, but there is no official inter-church exchange, yes, on the internet between different traditions. We have to fight in our own traditions to get through the wall of bishops. Of course, in hierarchical churches like the Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church, less in the Roman Catholic Church now, it's more problematic. But it doesn't mean that in Protestant churches, where you have synodical way of ruling the church, that there are no problems. Of course, there are problems because there are many people who want they want to have their say, yes, and they want to be heard, and they like to talk.
So we had some questions prepared, but if some questions are coming from you, I think you have preference.
I come from the Lutheran Church in Denmark, minority church, almost 2 years. And what I have experienced is that when the churches go to the internet and especially social media, we do what we do best, we build churches. And very often what we achieve is that we are preaching to the choir, we are talking to the same people that frequent the physical churches. I very seldom see pastors trying to talk about baptism on the groups that are for new mothers or whatever. I mean, do you have any initiatives in Poland where you try to go out into the world and take part in the discussions that are there on social media, but are not discussions you're trying to start, but you're taking part in other discussions?
I understand the question. I don't answer it.
Thank you. Who wants to go first? Difficult question?
I'm not sure if I understand well your question. You are asking about relation between those who deliver content and those who want to listen it?
No, not really. What I'm trying to ask is, do you have any initiatives where, for instance, pastors or church members take part in a public debate that is not just a Facebook page that is created by the church, but is a discussion that is created by somebody else? Do you have a system for this?
I mean, there are in our church there are priests who are having own blogs, and they are having discussion with the people through this source.
I would say people from different churches taking part in public discussions are mostly Roman Catholic, and these are bishops who are active, very politically active, unfortunately, but not that way you know it from Denmark or from Western European countries. As for the Lutheran Church, our bishop has a Twitter profile and a blog, and from time to time he's writing some texts about some controversial things which were happening in Poland, about, for example, the attitude of the government to the refugees, and but it's not, as I said, there is no strategy, and it's rather random, you know, and it's not that somebody thinks, oh, let's do something, let's participate in the public discussion and so on. Of course, because you have a majority church, Roman Catholic Church, if any bishop says something to about any political thing, it's very popular, not in church media, but in well, traditional media and newspapers, because it's now we have really big Spannungen, tensions, yes, between those people who are religious and not, and who are very angry with the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, with the bishops, with the hierarchy, for being so engaged for the politics, yes, and for the ruling party. So I think, it's not the situation, as I said, which you know from the Western Europe. Some random things, but not like the strategy.
Well, it depends what you understand with the question, because there are many people taking part in the current discussions, like refugees, like politics, and so on. Several church bishops and priests, and also church people. But also, I think sometimes there are discussions raised within our medias. Like there was a debate about, there is one Dominican who is running his YouTube channel. He has more than 200,000 subscribers. So I think that's the biggest person in the Polish internet when it comes to YouTube and the religious. And he made a video about homosexualism, and it was so criticized because of that. One was against, one was for him, and the discussion within the media, church medias, was huge, I would say. So you have some places, some things that we as church media raise a topic to discuss, and then we are, as Catholics, we are very, very active when it comes to discussion, the social issues and so on. And I would say I am very happy that I think 90% of Catholic medias, we are very open, we are very clear about immigrants, and usually against people that go to church. So because we are for immigrants, so we follow the line of the Vatican, and bishops who are also for them, but people that go to church are usually very reluctant. Other question?
That sounds very interesting. That somebody thinking about church in Poland, it has to be Catholic Church. Yesterday, David told the same thing about Sweden, just another way around, because church is the Lutheran Church. I think about a time post-ecumenic, where differences between churches are not important. In Germany, you have many people who are interested in the differences between Lutheran and Catholics. It's all church. And just let them bring their things, and we want to only want to have one address for church. And when I combine this with this political situation in Poland, to all of you, are there problems for you in the ecumenic movement as a Polish church to other European churches? We have a national movement in Poland. We have the discussion with the refugees, with a separate way of Poland in Europe. Do you feel this in the churches? This problems rising? You understand?
Not exactly.
Church and politics.
Uh-huh.
And Poland goes a separate way in Europe.
Uh-huh.
And I think it could be, or I think it is a problem for churches, because we have to act united in Europe to reach a common goal.
Uh-huh.
And if you have problems in your country, or with the government in your country, it could be also a problem for the church. And we in Germany have the same, the combination of churches and
Yeah.
I mean, it's all, these two subjects are always close to each other. And what I can say, first of all, minority churches are not very important for the politics in Poland. I mean, in some parts, yes, when we are speaking about local elections or situation in eastern part of Poland, then Orthodox Church might be interested for them. But in global view of Poland, I mean, we are not a real partner for this kind of discussion. Of course, if bishops say something, it is heard by the media, but not as good like Catholic Church. So we are not so quite often asked for this kind of question. So not always are ready to do statements.
Yes, so churches and politics, I would say the minority churches are standing aside because they are so small. As you heard, the Orthodox Church is about 2% of the whole population. Lutheran Church 0.2, not to mention the others. So people in Poland hear about the other churches, I think twice a year. In January, during the ecumenical week of prayer, and perhaps, well, or 3 times when the Orthodox Church celebrates the Christmas, or when Orthodox Church celebrates Easter. This year we celebrated Easter together. And when there is some controversial topic, sometimes politics, yes, sometimes, well, there are some information about the stance of other churches, like, for example, the common stance of Polish Ecumenical Council and the Roman Catholic Church about the refugees, where we have common policy. But there are no differences here. But, well, normally it is like that we are not, wahrgenommen, perceived. We are not perceived minority churches as a churches because, well, the numbers are really different from, I know where are you from, but Germany. So you have 50-50s for the Christians in Germany, yes? So everybody knows what's the Lutheran Church, what's the Roman Catholic Church. Almost everybody, perhaps not in Eastern Germany, but I mean, it's a completely different context, and the politics, well, some media, which are very critical about the government policy, they sometimes ask minority churches and say what you think about this, yes, to show some kind of opposition to the Roman Catholic Church, especially when it's about some moral views like the homosexuality, although the Lutheran Church in Poland is rather conservative in this thing. But, for example, a big topic was in vitro, künstliche Befruchtung.
In vitro fertilization.
Yeah, in vitro fertilization. Yes, so it was very controversial because, as you know, the Roman Catholic Church is against, and the Lutheran Church in Poland was the very first church in Poland which said we are in favor. Under some conditions, we are in favor. And of course, there are other topics. For example, ordination of women. Yes, some media reported on our process of discussion process in the Synod about the ordination of women. As you may have heard, it failed. But for the first time in the history of our church, the number of people who are in favor was bigger, much bigger than the number of people who were opposed. About 2/3 were needed. Anyway, there are really only moments where the politics or the society in general perceives the voices of other churches. For example, in the Orthodox Church, we had this very controversial thing about verstoßene Soldaten, żołnierze wyklęci. Sorry, I don't know the English word. It's about military movement in Poland after the Second World War, who were not agreed with the communist regime, and they fought further against the Polish communist regime. And they were, for many years, they were forgotten, yes, and they were shown as terrorists. But on the one hand, people try to show them only in the very positive light. But many people in Poland do not know that those people who were fighting against the communists were also persecuting Orthodox Christians in the eastern part of Poland, which is now eastern part of Poland. And there were many marches organized by Polish nationalists, or you can simply say fascists, yes, and it was really aimed against the Orthodox Church in Poland, against Orthodox people. And the Orthodox Church didn't have much power to get through the media with its idea of those soldiers and about those people who were killed by those soldiers. And these were women and children really killed by those soldiers, yes. And of course in the Orthodox media, in the Przegląd Prawosławny, which is a monthly magazine, and Orthodox internet, there was some information, but of course it was not so easy to get through with this information through media, yes.
Okay, this was a lot of politics, but we are learning a lot about Poland. There's one more question. I have another question I would like to ask you, so maybe we go ahead with your question first, because we also have to check the time.
I'm interested to know what percentage of the Christian community in Poland has given up on church altogether, but not on their faith, and has said, plague in all your houses, I want nothing to do with this. I'm looking for a different kind of faith. I'm looking for something that is not in this area, but I don't want to attend church as it is today, but I'm still a Christian. And what's the percent, do you know? Has any research been done into the numbers who are leaving church and not going, but still have held on to their faith?
When it comes to Catholic Church, well, there was a survey done a few years ago, and I think people were asked, do you believe in God? And about 90% said that. Oh yeah, it was very funny because the question was, are you Christian? Are you Christian? 98% said, yes, I am Christian. Second question, do you believe in God? 95% said, I believe in God. So 3% perceive themselves as Christian but do not believe in God. So that's about the survey. So when it comes to Christianity in Poland, I think the numbers are big. I mean, people perceive themselves as Christian, Catholics, Orthodox, or Protestant. But when it comes to Catholic Church, every year we know the number of people that go to church. There is a certain Sunday chosen, and we count people in church. How many people go to the church, and then how many people receive the Holy Communion at the end. So the numbers also depends on the part of Poland. The north, the less number is. So the more north, the fewer people go to church. I think the average is 30-40%. Yeah, go to church. When it comes to my parish, I'm from the north, from Gdańsk. We have around, I think, 40 to 50%, but that is also the very, it's not a representative place, I think, from the north. We have a parish, a Jesuit parish in Szczecin, which is the western border of Poland. And so there is like 13% people going to church. From people living and perceived as Catholics living there on the spot. When you go to the south, we have a parish in Tarnów, when I think there are like 70 or 80% people going to church every Sunday. So those are the numbers, more or less.
Tendencje? Góra, dół?
Tendencies.
I'm just asking you how it's going on,
Oh,
up or down?
Down.
Down.
Well, it's funny when you see the people going to church, this is falling down, but not, I mean, the huge fall down, but slowly go down. But in the survey, you see that the number of people, the convinced Catholics, people that really believe in God, the Father Almighty, and so on, that perceive themselves as deeply Christian, deeply Catholic, deeply believer, that number is rising. So that we are having less and less people that go to church because that's a tradition, because I'm Polish and Polish are Catholics. that number is decreasing, even though it's really high still.
We don't have any statistics, but I can say quite the same, that the number maybe is going down, but for example, number of people going for the Eucharistia communion is making bigger. So, but we don't have statistics for this, and when I see people, it's not only about Orthodox faith, but just my friends who I work together with. It's kind of common tradition that they believe in God, but they do not. They try to have their own understanding of God. Let's say like this. They do not learn about, but try to understand God how they understand the world around them.
So there are different statistics which show, for example, that about 2/3, more than 1/3 of Poles do not believe in the life life after death. So they are not Christians at all. So, although theoretically you have 95% Christians in Poland. So there is no church tax in Poland, so it's difficult to say the precise statistics. Yes, and for the Lutheran Church, I can say, well, the number is slightly growing. We have about 10 people yearly who leave the church, and we have about 300 people who join the church through the conversions. We have many converts in our church in Poland, who come mainly from the Roman Catholic Church, but also from other churches, or from atheist contexts. Yes? So the church in Poland is slightly growing, but of course those statistics do not show other problem, which we all have. It is the immigration. Yes, and many young Poles are leaving Poland for the UK or for other countries in Western Europe, and they are not there. They are still in the church books, they are still in the statistics, but they are practically not there. And as far as we know, they are not very active in those local churches, Anglican Church or Lutheran Church, in abroad. Two weeks ago I was in England, for example, and I heard from some priests from the Roman Catholic Church in England who said, well, the Catholic Poles come to Poland, to England, but they do not engage in the life of the local church. They build some kind of, so they said, ghetto. Yes, they do not combine with the Roman Catholic Church in England. They make their own congregations and they cherish their Polish life there. It's a different situation with minority churches, Orthodox parishes abroad and Lutheran parishes abroad. But I think it's very hard to say. But of course, in many parts, just as you said, in the central Poland, about 20% of people go to church. Yeah. I can say on the example of my congregation in Warsaw, St. Trinity Lutheran Church, we have about 1,800 people in our congregation, and we exactly know how many people belong to our congregation, yes, 1,000, and how many people go to the communion, because we count them every Sunday. How many people go to the communion? Every Sunday. The sacristan counts these hosties, yes, you know, so we know how many people go to the communion. Yes, and we have 2 services. To give you an example, we have 2 services every Sunday. Morning service, there are about 200 people, and evening service, about 80 people. So about 300 people go every Sunday to church. Of course, on Good Friday, which is the most important in the Lutheran tradition in Poland, we have 3 services and about 1,000 people going to church. So it depends where you are.
Thank you. We've learned a lot about church life in Poland. We have to mind the time, but I have one final question for you. If you could just give us a short answer. You mentioned the refugees. So how are they dealing with the issue? And is there maybe an answer you could give to all of us? Because I think it's an issue that affects most European countries. If someone in a church website, like you said, the bishops are following the Vatican line of welcoming refugees, but what do you say to church members on social media, on Facebook, who say, no, I cannot agree with it, and there's like hate speech against refugees on your Facebook pages? How do you react? And is there any answer you can give us, or recommendation you could give us? Because I think it's a problem in Poland as well as in other countries. What is your experience?
Well, I think that the common, when it comes to Roman Catholic Church, the common line is to answer with the gospel. So,
and what are they thinking? I'm leaving the church because you're not for Polish citizens, but you're for refugees.
Well, you know the parable of prodigal son. You can always go back. Yes, I mean the line is simple. as simple as gospel is. I mean, be open, and to feed the poor and to welcome the refugee. I mean, that's the gospel. So, sorry, but that's the gospel, that's our faith. If you do not follow that, I mean, there are many people that choose part of, I mean, you asked the question about people going to church and how many people perceive themselves as Christian or religious, but not go to church. Some people go to church but do not believe. So it's also this part. So, I mean, there is a huge conversion needed when it comes to this part.
I think in Orthodox Church we do not speak too much about this topic, maybe because we are far east in Poland. I mean, I agree what you said, but in fact we do not need to convince our people much about. It's not, I mean, maybe in personal discussions there are different
support for the case of the refugees. And the Roman Catholic Bishops' Conference asked the government to make it possible for refugees to make those corridors, yes, for Poland. But they failed, yes. Although Polish politicians, you can see them more often in the churches kneeling on their kneeling in the church pews than in the streets. But they ignored the stance of the Bishops' Conference. Yes. Unfortunately, the Bishops' Conference drew no consequences about this. Yes. So I would say in this question the churches are as far as they can, showing the common perspective.
I can only add that I can say that I don't have any good example which you can use it, but there are some informations about this topic, and also we had even a patriarch from Antiochia last year, and we were trying we were speaking more in this time. We were doing some help for the churches, but still it was more like inside of our community, which is, like I said, quite small, and it wasn't something really important for the Poland as a country. For example, comparing a visit of Patriarch Kirill in Poland, then Poland was orthodoxy was very high topic, let's say. But other patriarchs, when they come into Poland, it's mostly we are speaking about this.
And maybe last thing about immigration and so on. Me personally, I'm working as a campus minister in Gdańsk, and to deal with the problem, we organized this summer a camp for a volunteer work in Egypt for 3 weeks. To deal with the problem of how people perceive immigrants, to know the Arab culture, to work with them, with Muslims and so on. And secondly, second thing, in our parish, from time to time we do a collection. I mean, we ask people for money, and the biggest money we get for Syria. That's the top. That's the top amount of money that we can collect from people, and only to show that people are offering a lot.
Thank you very much for sharing your situation with us. We have to mind the time, otherwise we could have continued. But I hope you will be with us this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm staying.
You'll be with us at least for lunch? At least, so maybe there's less chance that somebody might still talk to you. Thank you very much. I think we have to rush a little bit because we have the history section, which should have started at 12 o'clock, but maybe we can start in 5 minutes. But probably there'll have to be some announcements